But first, breaking news near Tucson, Arizona, in the search for the mother of Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie. Tonight, more than a dozen vehicles, including SWAT and forensics teams, have gathered at a location about 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. The Pima County Sheriff confirming, yes, this is related to the Guthrie case, but says at the request of the FBI, they cannot release any more information, at least not yet. Nancy Guthrie disappeared nearly 2 weeks ago, and investigators today say they found DNA at her property in the foothills, DNA that does not belong to her or a family member and is being tested now along with several gloves. Earlier this week, the FBI released doorbell cam video and a description of a suspect who appeared to disable the camera around the time of Nancy's abduction. They're looking for a man between 5'9" and 5'10" with an average build who was carrying a distinct backpack. Of course, we'll keep you updated as new information comes in. Now to the aftermath of a rude awakening in Tigard. A speeding pickup truck, authorities say, that launched through the air and crashed into the side of a house. Catherine Cook talked with the owner about surviving that unexpected wake-up call.
I just hear this boom and the house shakes.
It was 2:58 in the morning and a pickup truck had just crashed into David Brudnock's Tigard home. He says it felt like he was dreaming.
I'm just waking up. I can't process like what I'm seeing. I get down the stairs and I realize my whole front of my house is completely just gone.
See this spot that looks like a front porch?
That used to be my bathroom.
Yep. The truck lodged firmly in the downstairs bathroom. David says water was gushing and debris was falling everywhere. Just above that, he and his wife and their 3 young kids were safe and uninjured.
I thank God that, everybody was upstairs when it happened.
David says the driver managed to climb out of the rubble. Firefighters extricated the passenger. Police say both suffered minor injuries. But on a dead-end street, shielded by a brick wall, how in the world did this happen? Police say the truck veered off Shoals Ferry Road, hit this dirt berm where you see the tire tracks, then launched 100 feet through the air, clearing that 3-foot retaining wall, and landed inside the house.
I didn't expect a flying truck.
Officers arrested the driver, 33-year-old Jacob Hankins. He's charged with reckless driving and recklessly endangering. No, it wasn't a dream, but it's some story.
I still don't believe it.
In Tigard, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
New tonight, another crash near Tillamook sent a student to the hospital when their school bus collided with a minivan. The bus carrying basketball players from Vernonia High collided with the van after apparently crossed into oncoming traffic. The boys and girls teams were set to face off against Nestucca High. The school district canceled the game shortly after the crash. A second student was hurt but did not need to go to the hospital. Well, we are following up tonight on neighbors of Portland's ICE facility who are taking the federal government to court over its response to protests they say has filled their homes with tear gas and night after night. Alma McCarty is in the newsroom with the update from federal court. Alma.
Yeah, David, several people who live at Gray's Landing, the apartment building across from the ICE facility, testified this afternoon, sharing what it's been like since last summer. They're asking the court to limit the use of tear gas.
They've experienced months upon months upon months of tear gas and flashbangs and rubber bullets and just terror from federal agents.
And Friday afternoon, several Gray's Landing tenants took those stories to federal court, arguing the Department of Homeland Security has infringed upon their rights to life, liberty, and property by the repeated use of tear gas and other chemical munitions outside their apartment complex.
It affected our building severely. I think the first time our building got filled up with tear gas was in June.
Residents say this repeated exposure has led to difficulty breathing, coughing, burning eyes, throats, and skin, PTSD, and panic attacks. The gas forcing them to stick towels under their doors and wear gas masks in their own homes.
Even if they wanted to escape the tear gas, they can't because it's their home. Specifically, these are a lot of people living on fixed incomes.
DHS has argued federal officers have used these crowd control devices to respond to violent protests. But in the lawsuit, residents argue the agents continue to deploy these munitions when officers face no violence or other imminent threat, even alleging they've used them to put on a show for conservative influencers and for propaganda purposes.
It was very moving and really critical to hear their stories, and we really need the government to stop using those chemical munitions, which is what today was all about.
Now, on the same day as this testimony, the city's permitting office upheld a land use violation for the ICE building. The city says ICE was keeping detainees there for more than 12 hours, which is against their agreement. The landlord has until mid-March to make corrections or face a more than $900 a month fine. ICE says it's taken action to make sure detainees are not held more than 12 hours by increasing staff and other resources. David?
Thanks, Alma. Appreciate the follow-up there. Well, now to a KGW investigation into the dangers of electric scooters, with serious injuries in Portland climbing and authorities admitting they are not enforcing helmet laws. Here's investigative reporter Kyla Boshi.
Yep. What's our question?
What's the address of the emergency?
We have a Lime scooter on the corner of Harvey Milk and 10th Street.
Do you know this person, or are you just passing by?
We're just standing on the street and they biffed it on the Lime scooter.
When Celia Curry regained consciousness, she was surrounded by strangers.
I saw a bunch of blood on the sidewalk. I didn't even realize it was my own. I was pretty good concussed.
The 44-year-old crashed headfirst on the pavement just moments after renting a Lime scooter in downtown Portland.
I don't know that there are any rules. I didn't see any rules. It just take your payment and let you go.
At the hospital, doctors closed a deep head wound with 13 staples.
I would have never got on one had I thought I was going to bust my head open.
Shared e-scooters first arrived in Portland 7 years ago and have since become a permanent part of the city's transportation system. Last year alone, riders took more than 1.5 million trips on Lime and Lyft's Biketown scooters. But as ridership climbs, so do crashes. 4 people died in Portland while riding e-scooters last year, 3 of them on Lime scooters. And new data from the Oregon Health Authority obtained by KGW shows that serious e-scooter injuries in the Portland area jumped from 127 in 2023 to 185 just 1 year later. In the first 9 months of 2025, hospitals treated 198 injured riders.
Would you ever ride an e-scooter?
No.
Dr. Robert Cloutier, professor of emergency medicine at OHSU, says he's seen everything from busted ankles and broken wrists to injuries that can change someone's life forever.
I personally have seen somebody paralyze themselves from colliding in a car from an e-scooter.
The most serious often involve the head and neck.
Can helmets make a difference?
A massive difference. If you choose to ride these scooters, please wear at the very least wear a helmet. Helmets are life-saving. They're not just injury prevention, they can be life-saving.
Oregon law requires people riding e-scooters to wear a helmet, but most do not. KGW conducted a non-scientific count and found that out of 100 shared e-scooter riders in Portland, only 2 wore helmets.
Why do you think so few people wear helmets?
Well, it's, we have to survey the users really to know better.
Dylan Rivera is a spokesperson for the Portland Bureau of Transportation, which contracts with Lime and Lyft to operate the city's e-scooter program.
It really comes down to education at this point. PBOT's role is not on enforcement.
Both Lime and Lyft encourage riders to wear helmets and follow traffic laws, with warning decals on their e-scooters and messages on their apps. In a statement, Lime wrote, "Safety is foundational to our service and is critical to our success in Portland." Lyft said it is committed to promoting safe riding practices across our Biketown networks and provides helmet recommendations before every ride.
There is no culture of helmet wearing, and frankly, the industry pays lip service to this.
Former Washington State Transportation Secretary Doug McDonald argues cities that sponsor shared e-scooter programs and the companies themselves need to acknowledge the risk and educate riders.
You cannot find in any of these cities a public program that says, if you're going to ride a scooter, know that you are potentially threatening your life if you don't wear a helmet.
McDonald believes cities like Portland are too focused on promoting this fast-growing service and overlooking the fact people are getting hurt.
E-scooters are really emerging and proving themselves to be a convenient, low carbon, largely safe transportation mode.
The city of Portland has a financial stake in the success of e-scooters. It makes money from every ride. Public records show last year, the city collected nearly $750,000 from fees charged to Lime and Lyft, and the companies profit from the pay-as-you-go rides.
These people are making a lot of money. They're promoting this as a fun thing to do, and they're not serious about educating people about risk.
Months after her crash, Celia Curry still experiences symptoms. There are headaches and a lingering fog.
I think I kind of feel like I'm still concussed a little.
A reminder of the risk she never fully understood.
I know I won't be hopping on those scooters again.
Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.